As John Belushi famously said in the 1980 film Blues Brothers, "We're getting the band back together." If you happen to attend a Bruce Mahoney game this year, you'll probably hear a familiar sound leading the cheering section for the Wildcats. That's because the SI Pep Band is back together under the direction of SI's Fine Arts Chair, Dr. GILLIAN CLEMENTS. Pep bands are an integral part of any school's cheering section, striking into familiar songs during game breaks, after scoring points against the opposing team, or just to fire up the crowd and keep them in a good mood, no matter what the score. The origin of pep bands has roots in ancient battlefields, used as far back as the Ottoman Empire in the 13th century, when they were conquering wide swaths of North Africa, the Middle East, and Southern Europe. Their traditions were adopted by other armies, and then famously used in our Revolutionary War's fife and drum corps. The custom further evolved into highly skilled marching bands made famous by Notre Dame, Florida A&M, Cal, Stanford, and eventually gave way to smaller pep bands that we know today. So the next time you attend a game, don't be surprised to hear a tradition born in the medieval era explode as the entire SI community breaks into the fight song or some other oldie but goodie tune. The SI Pep Band is once again playing our music, enthusiastically reminding us why we are SI.
My name is Gillian Clements, and I am the Orchestra and Pep Band Director in the Fine Arts Department Chair. I know that the school, has wanted a pep band for a long time. The problem was the schedule. We couldn't find a time where a band could rehearse regularly. We have 30 people in the current pep band. We have sousaphone, trombone, mellophone, flute, clarinet, and we've got alto, tenor, and bass saxophone. And then we've got 4 bass drums and a couple of snares. I think one of the biggest challenges is just to get the culture set up where band is part of our culture here.
I think it's awesome. I mean, it's an integral part of not only building excitement about a game, but also building excitement about a community. And nothing connects people better than music.
I decided to join the pep band because, well, for one, my teacher, Dr. C at the time, she was my teacher for music appreciation. She was the one who actually got me interested in it. And I remember her saying, "You would be so great in the pep band." And I wasn't quite sure what that consisted of. And after doing more research on it, it just seemed like something that would be really fun for me to do, considering we would be playing at football games and basketball games, which are 2 of my favorite sports. And to be able to be a part of that type of culture was very intriguing for me. And so I just decided, why not? Let me just get started and just see what happens. I'm not the biggest person when it comes to musical instruments, but I just figured it'd just be a really fun experience that I just wanted to check out and see.
My name is Nick SABLINSKY, and I was the music director at SI, as well as a graduate from the class of '64. I was a member of the pep band, and we did go to football games at Kezar and basketball games at Kezar. We were directed by Dennis Monk. We got into either cattle trucks and played as we were driving down the street, or got into cars or buses and moved over to Standing Street. This was especially important when we played Lowell. Lowell was about 3 or 4 blocks away. They were a Masonic, and we would drive down there, and the student body would follow us. Or there was a row of cars following. It was a car parade. And we would circle their block and then head towards Kezar, where we would set up.
We had created an after-school kind of rhythm and blues band. I think it was on Fridays that we would all get together in the band room, and we had some great singers, and we had a great rhythm band and some horns, and we would put together rhythm and blues. I'd approached the rhythm and blues band. I go, "Hey, next year, do you want to put this together?" At that point, it was Friday afternoons after school, out on the football field. And so that's kind of how it started.
Well, I started working at SI, I believe it was 2017. And at the time, the Pep Band wasn't in existence. I had, musical background, and of course that I was doing music ministry, so that he asked if I would moderate the Pep Band. And at the time, like I said, it wasn't in existence, but what we did have was more of a performative band. So, you talk about like, we'd have a singer, it's almost like you're going to a concert.
I remember Nick warning me when I played set that if I went off music, I wasn't going to be in the band much longer. And I remember going off music and not being in the band anymore.
Well, the other Pep bands were playing rock and roll tunes, Tequila, things like that. But Mr. was not a big rock and roll fan. So we ended up playing John Philip Sousa marches. We played some rags like Hold That Tiger. It was delightfully retro, our repertoire, but it still never failed to fire up the SI fans. We had, in my time, we had these things called band rallies. For any Pep Band member in the mid to late 80s, I think you'll remember these band rallies, and we are sworn to secrecy as players about what transpires in the band rallies. Those alumni out there who played in the Pep Band in my era will remember the band rallies as something that really got us fired up to do our best in playing in the games.
They called it Mister's song because I never knew what the name of the song was, but it went like bum 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 da da da.
Definitely Sweet Caroline. Definitely the Hey song.
Bud 1, baby. Bud 1 is up.
Sweet Caroline was a tradition that the football team sang, and so we learned that song.
I'm sorry, I had two. Sweet Carolina, Industry Baby.
Oh, let's see. A lot of Queen songs for sure. Sweet Caroline was a huge hit, especially dun dun dun.
Louie Louie. The movie Animal House had just come out, and Louie Louie was on everyone's minds.
Da 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 dum ba da ba dum ba da ba 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 bum da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum ba da ba dum ba da ba ba bum da 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 dum da 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 dum da 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 dum.